Let me just also, I don't know if I can give a link to it. Right, never mind. If people have managed to, hopefully we haven't lost too many people who were joined via the YouTube link, and I've now managed to cut off with my trying to get it all sorted. This is what happens when I take 2 months off from doing these. Because I didn't do one in October or November. They're always, October and November are always incredibly busy months for me, because I'm busy getting out the 12 days of Christmas parcels. So there's never very much spare time, and although I love doing these, they're never as quick as when I just dye them by myself. And sometimes I just haven't got the spare capacity, or I don't, or sometimes the, sort of my days I don't quite know when I am going to have time to do it, so I kind of can't set up any advance notification. But I've got time today. Go off on holiday on Saturday. Just much needed. But this is our colourway for December, so I'm going to dye it today. It's not going to be available in the online shop until after I get back from holiday, so I'm going to dye it today. I am out tomorrow doing dog stuff, so I won't have time to get it all sorted before I leave. So you'll see it being dyed, and then the first packs will be available not the Monday coming, but the Monday after that. So I think it might be the 7th maybe. So if you do want to get your hands on one, let's have a look. 8th, on the 8th of December. If you do want to get your hands on one of these, it won't be available until the 8th of December. I have got some dyeing I need to do before now and Christmas, so if those sell out, there will be like probably one more batch. So yeah, so don't panic if you go, I saw a dye these and they didn't go up in the online shop. It's purely because I've not been there to list them and make them live. But we're going to dye our Cabin in the Woods, or Cabin in the Snow, I think I called it. It's kind of an Aurora Borealis sort of colourway. I have done an Aurora colourway before in the past. This is a slightly more toned down version of it. It's very pretty. Nice change from some of the, we've had quite a few reds and yellows and oranges this autumn, so it's a nice move away from that. Let me get notebook out so we can write this down so I can dye more of it again. And where are we? December. Let's write down what it is that we're doing. December 25, Cabin in the Snow. So we've got some blues, some greens and some purples mixed in there. We're going to start off with the dark colour as our beginning stage, just so, and then reduce the quantity of dye down for the paler colours. So those of you who have not come and joined me in one of these before, they are me showing you how I kind of, my process of working through mixing the colours rather than necessarily this is how you dye fibre. I've got an online course that does that if it is something you're interested in knowing a little bit more about. So we're going to start off with the darkest tone here. So these packs are always designed to have a mixture of lights, mediums and darks, so that if you want to use them for colour work you can do. We're going to start off with the darkest blue, which is going to act as our one dark colour in this pack. We've then got the two greener colours are probably the closest to a mid-tone. The purple's a fraction paler than that, and then we've got a very icy blue, which is going to have hardly any dye in it at all, to make sure that it's pale enough. But we're going to start off with our blue, and it's kind of a navy inky colour, but rather than black, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix it with grey, because it's not actually too purpley when you look closely at it. So 1, 2, 3. There's not purple undertones to it. And 1 of you. So that's 100 millilitres of my dye. Let me write down what I've just put in there. Because otherwise I forget. And then all we're going to do, just to take a look at what it looks like, obviously in the bottom of a jug we kind of can't tell what it's going to look like on fibre. That one. think is looking pretty good. Yeah, it's nice and dark. It's not got the purple undertones because I've not used black to tone it down. So the black I've got is purple toned. So if I tend to put that with it, it ends up being, shifts the colour balance more towards purple, which is not what that one is in the colour swatch. The colour swatch is the starting point. I don't ever aim to replicate those shades absolutely exactly. Sometimes I have reasons for changing them, but I also try not to deviate too far away from the spirit of what we've dyed, because like you guys have voted on it and chosen those particular sets of colours for a reason. Okay, next up, let's dye the sagey green, which is the bottom one. So that's this colour down here. So we've just done that dark blue. We're going to have a go at doing that sagey green. I'm going to use my green dye as a starting point, and I think it's going to have a bit more grey in it maybe. Let's try one, let's try two. And then I'm going to pull some grey dye off just to mix into it. So I'm going to show you what that grey looks like, that green, sorry, looks like all by itself, which is this colour here. All right, so it's very, very olivey. And I think if I put a little bit of that grey dye in that I used in this one, it's just going to take the colour tone down slightly. It's going to, because this grey is mostly blue based, it's going to turn it into a little bit closer to the colour picture we've got there. So we had 50, let's start off with 5. You can always add more in. And I'm just going to dilute it down a little bit, which again is going to be what it is. Rinse that out. So because there's less dye there, it's going to look paler. So the quantity of dye is the thing that changes the colour, not the quantity of water. The quantity of water just lets me spread that dye out. Okay, so that was with the touch of grey added in. It's not quite enough, so I'm going to stick another 5 in. So that's now 10 of that grey. Let's have another look. Still wants a little bit more. So that's 15 now. Starting to get there. Again, might not show up on quality of screen, so that's just the pure grey, and then that's with each of the shades of grey added into it. Another 5. Yeah, happy with that. So we've used our olive dye and then just muted it down, shifting it being slightly more blue, slightly further away from yellow, into a kind of more, I don't know, more mossy colour, less yellowy khaki. Anyway, so we've done our blue, we've done our green. Let's go and do like this cerulean colour up at the top. This one might be a little bit tricky to get right, I think. I'm going to start off with another one of my pre-mixed green, which is this jade colour. I'll show you what that looks like as well. So it's that one there. It's a really, really bright colour. It needs toning down. Slightly more blue. And again, I think I'm going to probably end up using this grey for this. So I just want to pull off a little bit of that because I'm not going to need full quantity. So let's just put 5 in there. Add a bit of water just to reduce the darkness of it. So that's our original jade, the top colour. That's then just with a tiny little bit of the grey gone into it. Again, these colours always look stronger because they are wetter. Because this colour palette's quite muted, I don't want to make it too intense, but I don't know it's quite a nice match at the moment. I think I might leave it at that. It might end up being fractionally brighter than it is in the original image, but I kind of think that the palette will also benefit from having that little pop of colour, because the blue and the green are quite muted in shade. So we've done the navy, we've done the olive, we've done the dark green. So I'm kind of working my way through making the colours get paler and paler and paler. Next up, we have got this lavendery mauve colour, which is this one here. It's slightly pink in toned in comparison to the others. Of all the colours in that palette, it's kind of the warmest one. It's the one heading closest towards being red. Let's go for, I want some of this pink dye, and I've already got some of the grey. So the chances are I'm going to start off with this pink and grey and see where I get to. Just give that a rinse out. I've already been dyeing some BFL alpaca and sea salt this morning, which I've not dyed in ages. Like, the shop was completely empty of that base. So there'll be some of that going up online when I get back as well. Right. 5 and 3. Let's just dilute that down a bit. I've used more pink than I have with grey, again, because I don't want it to be too intense a colour. So that's where we're at. I think it could stand to be a little bit darker. So I've kind of just doubled the quantities that I've used originally. The balance of colour in it was quite nice. It just needed more dye just to be a darker colour. So just double the dye, and it's just made it slightly darker. It stayed being quite warm toned, which I think is what we want. It's going to contrast. It goes very nicely with that greyed tone there. It's going to sit quite nicely with that purple. So we're on colour 4. The last one we have got left is the icy blue shade that is the one that is here. So this is the one which is going to have barely any dye in it. Let me give that a quick rinse. And what colour blue? So it's a very, very pale blue. I'm not going to use the grey because that's too warm toned. It's actually going to be some of this turquoise colour here. Right. Make sure I've got no air in it, so I've actually got an accurate measure. Right, let's try 2. Just dilute it down. Get rid of the purple off. Okay. So that's what just 2 millilitres of that blue looks like. It's going over. The base fibre isn't white though. The base fibre is slightly creamier. But that's darker than I want, because I actually think I need to put a little bit of, does it want grey, or does it want some of that jade green? Might need some of the grey in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick that to one side. I'll come back and use that on something else later. Make sure that's clean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one of this turquoise. I think pale colours sometimes, because you've got so little dye to play with, colour matching on them is the hardest. So I don't just want that pure turquoise because I think it's too bright. So I've just toned it down a little bit with that's better. So sorry, this bit of kitchen roll is really running out of space. This colour that is here, remove it so you can see it better. That colour's there. So that was the one with just turquoise. That's the one with turquoise and grey. And it's just taken the kind of icy edge off it. And I think is a better match. Great. So that's just 2 millilitres of dye. It's going to be slightly greener looking on the fibre because the fibre is more yellow in toned. Let me grab a bit of kitchen roll, and I'm going to put all the colours out in the same order as they are in the palette so you can kind of take a quick look at them. Some colours do look slightly different once they've gone onto fibre, but it gives us a nice idea about what we've ended up with. And blue. And icy colour. And green. Oh, so there we go. That's what we've ended up with. That was our starting point. So we've kind of pretty much got there. Some of these might look slightly different by the time they've been heat set onto fibre, but they won't be massively different. And so next step is these need to go onto the fibre that's been into soak. And then they need heat setting. So for any of you that have joined us a little bit later on, say these won't be in the shop until the 8th of December because I'm going away next week. And so there won't be time to get this dry and packaged and photographed before I go away on Saturday. So you'll have to wait a little bit longer for it. But it'll go up in the shop on Monday, on Monday the 8th, and then I have still got some more days that I'll be doing in the studio before I finish for Christmas. I've still got some other fibre I need to dye before then, and things like the gradient club will need sorting out. So there will be the opportunity to get some more should this all sell out. So just trying to make sure the dye is spread around evenly. The big dark colours, it's quite easy to get the fibre spread out quite nicely. And then a little bit of citric acid. Just distribute that a little bit. And the citric acid just means that the conditions are right for the dyes to make a bond with the wool fibre. So that is our navy blue. I'm going to put you there because I'm filming the other end of the table. Okay, next colour. Yeah, I'm quite relieved all of this survived mostly unscathed because Connie snuck into the studio this morning Con is my 11-month-old, puppy's probably the wrong word, adolescent dog now. And wet fibre in soaking in buckets is utterly irresistible to her. She only ran off with one piece. She is not allowed in the studio most of the time unless your concentration is fully on her, because as soon as you start trying to do anything else, she knows when you're not paying full attention to her, and thievery ensues, and she will take stuff off outside. Before you know it, it's no longer a usable piece of fibre. It's a bit of a shame. Right, that's our green. She was sat pitifully at the door just now going, "Can I come in?" You're like, absolutely not. Okay. She's been out for a walk this morning, so she's had her bone and her breakfast when she's got back, so she actually needs to go and do some sleeping because she had a full day of training yesterday. Ready for the next one? But yeah, she's actually very tired. So hopefully she'll go inside, have a nice nap. Okay, next one along, so this is the kind of cerulean-y, jadey, kind of colour. It's always hard, I think, giving some of these colours names, because you'll see, particularly the turquoise and things, there's a gazillion different names, and like sometimes you'll see the same name being given to lots and lots of different colours that are nowhere near similar. There's kind of not much consensus on what's turquoise, what's cerulean, what's jade, robin's egg, duck egg. But I kind of try to be consistent among what I call colours. This one always looks really disturbing when you put the citric acid on, because for some reason the green really colour shifts. It doesn't stay that way, but when you put the citric acid on, it just, yeah, makes it look far more yellow than it actually is. In which point you have a little panic. But it doesn't stay that particular colour. 2 more left to go. It's a horrible wet November day out there. It's not raining heavily, but the sky is just filled with moisture. Not a day for doing anything other than being inside. But thankfully, so far this year, touch wood, we've not had too many really cold days. We had that bit of cold weather snow earlier in this year. Because when it gets too cold, I just can't work in here because the water supply freezes going over to the studio. It tends to be, this is really well built and insulated, so inside the studio is fine. It's the pipe work that goes over to it that becomes the issue. And without running water, it's just really, I can't do very much. Like as soon as I need to mix some more dyes, I've got no running water to do that. And like rinsing all the fibre, that's reliant on me having running water supply as well. So when it gets too cold, kind of everything moves over into the office, and I just have to pick some other jobs to do, which there's usually no shortage of them. Right, colour 4, and then last one. then so these all go in the oven. The dyes get heat set to make their bond onto the fibre, and then everything gets rinsed in hot soapy water and then rinsed again in just plain hot water to again get hung up to dry. Then I'll weigh it all out, take the photos, and at which point it will be ready to go up in the shop for you guys to purchase. I haven't paid attention to Christmas posting dates this year. Feels like Christmas has sort of snuck up on me. I always try and get the 12 days of Christmas parcels out super early to make sure there's plenty of time for those to be delivered, and also because I knew I was going away on holiday at the beginning of December. But there's definitely parcels going out to names and addresses that I recognise, but not necessarily both combined together. So yeah, there is Christmas stuff going out. The shop's got lots and lots of fibre in it at the moment. There are always gift cards available for people who you don't trust to pick out colours, or equally I am happy to do personal shopping for family members if they email me to say, I've got so much to spend, could you put together a parcel for so and so. I'll go and look at like your purchase history, work out what sort of colours you like, work out what fibres you like, work out that maybe you might like to try something different to that, and like put together a bit of a goodie bag of various bits and pieces that you might enjoy opening. All the 12 days of Christmas parcels have now sold. I did a slightly smaller run this year because I have ran out of the brown paper bags that I had been using, and they're now unobtainable. The mill that made them has stopped making them. So for next year, for the Tour de Fleece, I'm going to have to think of something else to use to put all the packs of fibre in, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah, it's a slightly smaller batch of those this year, but they've now all sold. The spare fibre from that is all packaged up, ready to go. Something like that order, I think. Yeah, that spare fibre is all packaged up, ready to go. That goes live on each day as we go through the end of December and into January. But we are finished with our final seasonal changes pack for 2025, which is our cabin in the snow colourway. The little cabin with the Aurora Borealis over the top. I really like that colour combination. I think it's a nice change from the ones we've had previously. We'll go in the shop on the 8th of December, and then if that all sells out, then I'll dye more that week until I've then got another couple of weeks work before I stop work for some quick break over Christmas. But yeah, thank you all for coming and joining me. I don't know if we'll do a January one or not. It depends on how things work in terms of how busy I am at the start of January to kind of catch up after I've had a bit of a Christmas break. But hopefully, if not, I will see you all in February. Yeah, there'll be bits and pieces on social media going up between now and Christmas. But if not, hope you all have a lovely holidays and a happy new year. And we will be back in 2026 with more seasonal changes colours.